Hi, I'm John Underhill. Thanks for joining me. In this short video in the Bandit series, I'm going to take a recently turned watch part pen blank that I turned, and I'm going to construct the center band to match the rest of the pen. Give it a little custom touch, watch parts on the center band. Here's how I do it. Alright, here's what we're going to start with. We've got our center band with our coupler on here that holds the threads, and we want to remove that, so we just pull that out and set it aside. We don't want to damage this. We're going to need that later. Next, what I've done, I've taken a piece of black construction paper and I've cut it out with a razor blade and a straight edge to fit the channel. So now I'm simply going to put a little bit of glue in my channel. I'm going to spray the back of my paper with some glue dry. I don't need a lot. I'm going to just put a dab of glue in here. Very little. All I want to do is start this to hold it down. So we're going to come in here like so, place it in there, and you can take a toothpick or something. I'm going to use a paintbrush and just smooth it out to get it to stay in there. All I want that to do is hold. And then what I'm going to do is simply wrap this around the edge. I'm going to place a couple more drops of glue underneath of it. I don't need a lot. And we're just going to work our way around. Now, because this is a fairly deep channel, I could wrap it a couple times if I wanted. I think in this case, though, I'm just going to cut this off once I get adequate overlap, and then we'll stick that down. Once we apply our glue to this, all of this is the seam will be pretty much invisible. And we can also cover that with watch parts. So that's the beginning. All right, this next part is a little tricky. You're going to be dealing with these small parts. I've selected some watch parts here. Some of them were a little big to fit in the channel, so what I did is I just took a pair of scissors and I cut a bottom edge off of them, and that'll allow me to stack them from the top or the bottom and then arching into the center of the channel. So first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that these are going to lie semi-flat. We've got a pretty good depth here, so they don't have to be perfect. We're not going to have to worry about shearing them off when we turn this around, but we would like them to lie at least along the surface as close as possible. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use a dapping block, a jeweler's dapping block, and I have a punch that's just a little bit smaller than the center of this channel that we're going to try to lie these on. So the hard part is always picking these things up. Sometimes I find that if you press hard against them, you can give them a stick, or if you take a toothpick and just press into them, you can pick them up. And then we're just going to put them in these channels here, and I'm going to place this over them. I roll this a little bit, just enough to give it a slight curve, and you'll see it doesn't lie flat then. It's a nice cup. We'll do another one of these larger ones. The tricky part then, if you cut these, you want to make sure that they're curving the right direction, so we have to have the flat edge facing the front here. And we'll just roll that a little bit. Again, it's not going to be perfect, but it's better than flat. So now what I like to do is position them all to where they're cupped down. So basically what's up top is what I want to see. So now I'm going to take a little bit of glue, and instead of just putting it on the centerpiece, I'm going to put it right here on the side, and I'm going to try to keep all this in camera for you. I'm going to just touch in here where I want it to go, but I'm not going to put a lot, just a little bit, and then I'm going to touch this with the toothpick, hopefully, and we'll get a little more glue on there. And we're going to just turn it until we get it in the position that we want it. And then Push it in there. And there we have it. One is in. So I'll do a couple of these and then we'll get a close-up of it. I'm going to alternate the colors as well. I'm going to go gold and then chrome, or gold, silver, gold, silver. So when you're dealing with watch parts, you can really do just about anything you want because there's no set pattern. It really is just whatever works for you. Now these little bitty tiny ones, there's no need to bend them because they're so small, they're just going to sit in there pretty close anyhow. See if I can get a close-up for you. Alright, there's a nice close-up. So I'm going to work my way around this band, get all these where I need them, and then we'll put some CA over the top of them ever so lightly, and I'll show you how I do that in a second. Okay, here they are all glued on. We've got them all the way around. Again, your pattern is up to you, how far you space them. I just went gold, silver, gold, silver, gold, silver. Tried to get something on there. So now that they're all glued on there with just a little bit of glue, we're going to put this on the lathe and we're going to use some thin and we're going to just slowly build up a layer to hold them all in place. Alright, so let's put this on the lathe. I'm using the turn-between center bushings. If you buy them from Exotic Blanks, they come with these nice little nylon washers. I actually lost one, so I have a small little rubber washer in a scrap drawer of parts. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place 7mm bushings on there. You can use any bushing you want. I just chose the 7 because they're smaller. And then I'm going to use these Delrin bushings. Now if you don't have the Delrin bushings, Ed has a great video in this series on making bushings out of scrap wood, which are a nice easy taper for doing this exact same process. So all I'm going to do is place this between here, lock down my tailstock, tighten them up a little bit, and all I want it to do is hold it. It's nice and straight, spins level, and now we're going to apply our glue. First thing I'm going to do is place a towel over the bed of the lathe. I don't want to drip any glue off of this onto my lathe because then my tailstock's not going to slide real even. Secondly, I want to make sure that I blow off any dust or debris that might be in there. I don't want to seal anything in my finish. So because we're using construction paper on the base of this instead of paint, I didn't have to wait for the drying time. You don't want to mix glue with paint because you're going to get a white fog. You're going to want to make sure everything is good and dry, so you might want to wait a day before you proceed. Because I'm using paper, we can proceed fairly quickly, and I'm going to start with an ultra finish, fill and finish, the thin, ultra thin, and all I'm going to do is drizzle a couple drops. What this is going to do is just get the paper wet and soak around all those gears. I'm not trying to flood the area. I just want to get a little bit of glue underneath anywhere that it can get. Now because this is the ultra thin, it will flow like water and it'll just fill all them little grooves. And we're going to just turn this a few times just to let that glue work in where it needs to. And then I'm going to give it a couple of quick shots as I turn it of glue dry about a foot out so I don't overpower it. We're going to allow that to dry. And we'll do that twice because this stuff is very thin. We want to make sure that it runs everywhere that it can. I'm not concerned about getting glue on the top of these high points here because I'm going to turn this anyhow. So because it's stainless, we can turn it and not have to worry about marring up a finish. So a couple of coats and I think we're going to be okay there. I just wanted to make sure I got it in all of them little sprocket areas, in the small holes, underneath anything that it could. I didn't want to trap air in there and create a weak spot when we're turning it. Now I'm going to switch to the orange thin fill and finish, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to put it on small and light. I don't want to trap air in the glue. I just want to fill a little bit of an area as I go. And this will take several layers to do it properly. If you get in a hurry, you're going to leave air bubbles in there. So it's if you want it to look nice when it's done, take your time. Build it up nice and slow. And in between every layer, I'll give it a couple short bursts. Now, because that's the thin and not ultra thin, it's going to take a little bit more to dry, so we're going to allow that to dry. I'm going to continue to build these layers until I get flush or maybe just above these two side walls here. And then we'll turn this level and finish it like we would anything else. Alright, when you think you've got it filled up, what I find is the easiest is to put something light behind it and then stare at the top edge as you spin it. And what you're doing is you're looking for any dips or anything that drops below those two little side walls. And I believe everything looks pretty good. So we're going to let this cure now. And I'll probably let it sit for an hour. And then I'm going to come back and turn this flush with the side walls and then finish it like we would anything else. Alright, we've let it dry. I've put the tool rest up close. I'm going to use carbide now. And I'm just going to work across the front here. Because it's a small working area, I can get away with using the small carbide tool and just get in there and cut where I need to. It's going to do a great job without worrying about hitting any of our bushings or our mandrel. Alright, now all we wanted to do is turn that down between these two shelves. We've got a little bit of glue still on this edge here, but when we sand this, it'll take care of all of that. So, as you can see, the mandrel's not real tight on there because I don't want to flange out any of this metal. So, I can literally spin this or hold it steady while the mandrel turns. It's just enough pressure to spin it so that I can cut on it. Now we're going to go ahead and do some light sanding with micro mesh and polish this baby up with some Yorkshire grit, and we'll be ready to assemble. Alright, so now I'm going to take this to the buffing wheel. I'm going to use the small buffing wheel that you use on a drill press as opposed to the large one, because the metal is going to turn these dark. So what I'll do, I'll put it on a dowel rod or something to hold it, and in this case I'm using a Sharpie plastic marker here. It's tapered, so I'm able to slide this on the base of it. I can work this without it getting thrown from my hands. Well, thanks for joining. I hope that was clear enough for you. Watch parts, if you're looking for those, Google it. You'll find a ton of them out there. eBay, Etsy, everybody's got little gears and watch parts. If you're interested in learning other ways that you can customize the Bandit and have some fun experimenting on the way, be sure to check out the Bandit series videos at Exotic Blanks. I'm John saying thanks.